Alright, time to get in there and do the arm. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love this part, right? Because this is where you see comparative anatomy really come to life. It's in these limbs and how they change. So I'm really excited about this part. So let's talk about the humerus. And while we're talking about the humerus, let's get all the rest of these guys. And just make sure, yeah, that's fine. Mask everything, and there we go. Alright, I'm going to put the head of the transpose line at the head of the humerus, but there's one thing you need to know. Do dogs have clavicles? I don't think so. If they don't have clavicles, then where are the arms? You know, we use clavicles to know exactly where the head of the humerus is. But if we don't have that, what can we use that tells us where the head of the humerus is? You use the sternum. Use the top of the rib right there. And so we're going to pull it back in space, but it's going to line up roughly with the sternum. And about, I'd say right there. Pretty close. You know, and let's turn the model on actually. I might be slightly off. Let's turn transparency. You're not going to see a lot, right? It's kind of hard, but you know that this is the humerus. And that's going to be about where it is. So let's move it on up. I'm going to turn transparency so I make sure I've got that line selected. Okay, let's move it in. Okay, don't butt it up against the chest too much, but then don't keep it too far either. You know, something like this is going to be okay. Ultimately, we never looked at the rib cage from this angle, and that's going to cost us. So I need to make sure that this looks pretty from this angle. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. Cool. There. Now that I fixed that, we gotta go back and isolate these guys. Mask everything else off. And rotate. Turn solo off. And we need to rotate it in the general angle that it's going to be. The general angle, assuming that we know it's coming back. This is going to be the ulna right here. So we know the head of the humerus is going to be coming back in that direction. So we want to make sure we're clear there. Okay, pull this off. I'm going to go into move, press shift, and just scale this whole thing up. Okay, move, come into the center line, and what I'm doing is making the ulna relatively the same size and then setting up the hand for its rotation and action. But I'm basically saying, hey, it's fine. I'm going to take the humerus and I'm going to resculpt that. But I don't really want to get in and resculpt the radius and the ulna. Just not something I wanted to do. Let's get some rotation, get these kind of straight up and down. Get them in. Okay, so again, I'm placing the radius and ulna. Those are the priorities right now. Okay, and then draw, move brush. You can just move that down. make sure you get a nice strong arch. Okay, and then give the olecron process a little love. Come on. In fact, does it have a separate group? It does. Just rotating that. It's getting hard with that subtool visible. See now? There we go. It was selecting the wrong vertices, so it started to twist it. And I wasn't a fan of that. I didn't want to get that twisting. I just want to get it bulked up. Cool. Nice attachment right there. And how are we doing with this? Do we want to beef this up? Probably. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening there. But it doesn't need, it's not rotating, it doesn't need these epicondyles. These guys aren't as essential, or at least their action is not as dramatic. So we're okay just kind of keeping them off, and I'm going to give them a bit of an angle. And remember, you sometimes have to turn solo mode on just to be able to get to these guys. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay. Now, I got that part of it done. And basically we have a bunch of hands. In fact, let's go to matcap gray here. We have a bunch of hands hanging down. I mean, isn't it kind of cool? You just got these monkey paws hanging down there. Now, how is this going to work? Well, obviously dogs are not rotating. They're not pronating their paws here and then, you know, picking up playing cards and you know, playing poker. They have no ability there to move that. So what we want to do is we're just going to clear the mask, but then we're going to come in and isolate the radius and the hands, the metacarpals, the carpals, the phalanges. We're going to isolate all of that stuff, and we're going to rotate. We're going to basically rotate this around. Best thing to do is position it right here at the top, along the center, and then come around to the side. And you can see this is still positioned accurately. This is not, because the center of rotation is going to happen about there. So we're going to move that in, move it in, okay, and rotate, and there we go. So we just want to get it with a front plane, and then we'll go into draw, move elastic, Okay, and we'll just kind of fuse these guys a little bit more. Check it. Okay, you can turn symmetry off, and obviously he's not going to have the same pronation, the same shape to the radius that we have. There we go. And we're going to need to take it up a little bit. Okay. We want it right in here, or a little bit higher. Okay, so you want to think about, let me start over. You want to think about this as one of the carpals, okay, like the hemat that's just going to push out a little bit. So, can scale that up a little bit. Might want to come in and scale your ulna. Or you just use move elastic and move it on up. Okay, let's check out what kind of trouble we're in. Alright, so how are we going to work with these hands? I'm going to just isolate all of these guys. Get rid of these pieces, and you see how they're not really responding to the polygroups that well. It's kind of selecting polygroups all over the place. Fine. Okay. So awesome. Let's look at our guy. And the way I'm going to work with the metacarpals and the carpals, I'm just going to shrink them all in until they fit within that profile. And I'm going to skew them all until they're a little bit straighter. Okay, because they're not going to have the same sort of rotation that we have, the same. So I'm just skewing them a lot less. Okay, and then of course we've got to rotate them. Alright, and that thumb is relevant. The thumb, there's going to be a little doohickey. You can see where our thumb evolved out of. Not that we're descendants from dogs, at least not all of us are descendants from dogs. Some of us. What am I doing? Move elastic. I need to increase the size of the metacarpals. Okay, they're the metacarpals in this particular case, but we have room for the carpals and then room for the metacarpals, and then the phalange come out and do their thing. So first we just need to get the length of the metacarpals. Okay, and we just hit fuse them all together. Just like that. Okay, and this is what I would do if, for example, like a horse or some other creature, some other animal that doesn't have all of the phalanges. Just fuse the bones together like that. It's kind of crazy awesome. Inflate, and it just couldn't be simpler. All right, so I want to isolate these guys. So I can start to move them and get them into the position that they're supposed to be. Okay, press shift. All right. And shrink it back and forth takes care of that. All right, we're getting there. Now we just need to get the phalanges and we need to get the scapula. So how quickly can I get these guys? Control Shift click, Control Shift, Control Shift, Control Shift, do. Each one of those guys, and then unhide these things that aren't relevant. Okay, look at it from a side view. It's pretty straightforward what needs to happen. Okay, you can move these up, scale them out. Oh, that looks good. All right, get some general directionality. We could look at it from the top. We could kind of spread them out a little bit like this, which is working out okay. Let's try it a little more, a little further apart. Yeah. Okay, and then I can come in with move elastic. Oh, that's the magnify. Oh man. See? That's kind of awesome. That's Pixelogic thinking about you. Of course, if I was doing that right now, that's kind of sucky. Pull it down. Okay, you want it to be below. But again, we're just going to kind of beat all of this together. Okay. Next series. Let's make sure everything's unmasked before we do this. Okay, rotate that stuff around, show my, yeah, that's kind of sucky, but just do it, and then you can try the move option, and then boom, boom, beam, and we can put these back up there a little bit, yeah. Alright, and what do you imagine is going to happen? In fact, clear the mask. What's going to happen to these guys? Just going to go straight out. Let's do it from the middle. Alright, not 100%, but pretty awesome that we're on our way to doing that, right? Okay, in the next video, let's take a look at how we're going to work with the scapula and get that positioned. And we'll get rid of the clavicles. But we're pretty close. We're getting there. We haven't hung any of the muscles, you know, but you have the bones there, the guide for it.